This is February 7th, 2026. Now, the cartel has sold the protected custody case. They have where I live, but they meant to see me in every room. They're in more people's homes than you can ever imagine. And I had ran an experiment years ago. I know my phone's bugged by the FBI and the police, my car, my home. And these people hacked the protected custody case. So one time I left my phone that is bugged, and I know they hacked everything out in the car, and I went in people's homes or bathroom. They could hear me. The cartel people, and they'd show up and say stuff. They got more people's homes bugged than what you can think of. Okay, that's where the key bank manager had said people's personal information have been stolen by the thousands in this area. People's bank accounts, other stuff have been hacked. We don't even know how. They're hacking people. They're setting up bot cameras in their home when they're out. That's how. They're even hacking businesses' securities. The fentanyl king from Texas, for we all work for the king from Texas. We are his man, Dave Harkness, who's a drug lord. He's U.S. military record translator, went into the dark web malware. Fentanyl king. He's a hacker. And so Agent John, with his people doing this, and Henry Muff, he's doing a scam trying to get in with him. All right, they announced that April 24th, 25. What does the fentanyl king have against you? That he has publicly made a fool out of you, June 7th, 23. Publicly mocked you, called you, had his people call you coward, August 5th, 25. And that he thinks you're so dumb he can scam you out of money and pull a ridiculous scam on you. And you're so dumb, and why does he hate the FBI? Now, with everything being hacked, I emailed the president, told him about this case, recorded line to pull it where Agent John admits to telling on me, bullying me, making fun of me. They have him on a recording. Then they have a real case with the cartels under police surveillance with a court order with the FBI case. And so the Trump's after all these cartels. He's got them on a platter what they haven't got. Okay? I told him what happened to me. Well, I also wrote him a letter and sent pictures of everybody involved. You know what's funny, Agent John? They're not afraid of you. They think you're a fool and a coward. They're afraid of Trump. They are scared to death of Trump. They have been talking around me. We all know she emailed the White House and they emailed her back. They're going to send it to the appropriate federal agency to handle this. Nobody said anything. Yeah, they're afraid of Trump. They ought to be that afraid of you. Okay. Now, I've done this statement, it feels like a million times. I'm going to tell you what was wrong with me years ago. Okay? All right. About 25, 30 years ago, I had endometriosis. I didn't know I had it. Okay? One day, I doubled over screaming. Dave, my ex-husband, rushed me to the hospital. They did an emergency appendectomy. I have a 5-inch scar on my stomach. The doctor said I took it out. It didn't look bad, but the way she's screaming, I took it out. Well, I didn't have appendicitis. I had a cyst burst inside me. He didn't check when he was in there. I was full of them. I didn't just have one or two. I was full of them. And they grow and burst, grow and burst. That will double you over. I have thick scars inside my belly button and around it, where they had to go in, and where they would burst, I would bleed into my stomach, and they would have to repair it. One time they said if I wouldn't have been in the hospital, I would have bled to death. They tried burning treatments and medication caused kidney stones. I had to have kidney stents in my kidneys, in and out several times. It got so bad, my uterus flipped over, and I would bleed out when I had my monthly. I mean, just everywhere on the floor. So they had to do a lower hysterectomy. A couple months later, I'm screaming again. The cyst attacked my ovaries. I had one the size of a golf ball. They said that burst, you're dead. And the other one had little ones popping. They had to cut me side to side and take my ovaries out. My gallbladder went bad after that. They had to take it out. I had scar tissue forming a ball. They took it out. My muscles are quenching from all those surgeries. One day, I start bleeding like I'm having a heavy period. And I have nothing to bleed from. I go in the hospital. One of those kidney stones kinked the kidney tube. They had to go through my back, 5-inch scar. Take out the damaged part of the kidney tube and re-sew it back together. That's when my muscles clenched. They, like the one nurse said, that you had all those surgeries, your nerve ends didn't have time to heal. You had so much trauma. That's why your muscles clenched. That happens when you have a lot of surgeries in one area. Your muscles are clenched and they make you go through long physical therapy to stretch those muscles back out. While I'm in so much pain, stomach and back, and the muscles were clenched already, and then they'd rise up underneath my skin. You could actually see it like a baby stretching its foot. And here it's a muscle. And it would clench and I would scream. And blood vessels would break under the skin. And blood would run down my legs and stomach. I have red freckles where the blood vessels broke. Excruciating pain. I went to a bunch of doctors trying to get out of pain. They gave me the wrong meds. I started swelling. I said, is it the medication? No. You have underlying conditions. No, I didn't. Gave me more meds, more swelling. And it kept getting worse and worse. My feet went numb. My knees started popping out of place. My legs tripled in size. Okay? I went from 105 to like 275 in a year and a half to 2 years. Massive swelling, gaining weight from those meds. I had seizures. I had heart attacks. My thyroid, my adrenal gland shut down. They were sending me to all these different specialists, all these false diagnoses. Okay? The only thing's wrong with me is my muscles clenched. Okay? They even tell me I have level 2 brain tumors. I need my pituitary gland removed. They told me I had epilepsy. They told me I had MS. You name it. Okay? Before I'll let them take part of my brain out, I go to my community health. By then, I am so swollen. My knees would literally pop out of place. I had to go to an orthopedic doctor, and they would pull out turkey-based syringes of fluid, put steroids in, and they're the ones that gave me canes and braces so I could get around without falling. Okay? I go to my community health. Before I let them remove part of my brain, they tell me I have level 2 brain tumors. I don't have them out. I'll die. I go in and I talk to them. They're like, "Moi, we need to have a long talk." What those doctors are doing, they're known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick, getting kickbacks from drug companies, and draining their insurance like a checking account, sharing it with their associates and friends known for doing that. There's nothing wrong with you, but your muscles clenched and locked. from having all those surgeries. Get off the medication. It's the medication doing it. Get an attorney sue them. Turn of state to pull their license. You're not even the first one I've heard of them doing stuff like this too. We'll represent you in court. They've almost killed you. Alright, I go to Dr. Eli, and he agreed it's the meds. He said, but I have to get you out. He said, the only way to get locked muscles to unlock is to move them. You're in so much pain. I got to get you out of pain first. He put me on fentanyl patches and muscle relaxers. The first month I lost 30 pounds. Second month I'm pulling around stores and malls. I got in so much pain I ended up in the hospital. By the third month, seizures, heart attacks, gone. It's all chemically induced. Okay? Thyroid adrenal glands started working. I could drive a car. I would try to learn to walk at home, and I'd make it 2 or 3 steps, fall on my ass or face. Took me months to learn to walk again. But when I left, I made sure I wouldn't fall, so I put my canes and braces on. I would drive my car to stores, malls, different streets, and I'd walk up and down them with my canes and braces, learning to walk on numb feet as the swelling slowly went down. Okay? Now I started with him in like October, November 2002. By April of 2003, I went from a 24 to 16. Okay? I'm almost well. Dr. Eli is actually mad at me, saying you should be getting well faster. Why had all that swelling? Everybody gets well at their own pace. He had me put 2-pound weights on my legs. That causes extreme pain. He's insane. They lasted for a whole minute. Alright. But I'm almost well in April. Everybody's cheering me on. I have lost this drastic amount of weight. I'm driving my own car. I'm doing my own grocery shopping. I'm pulling myself up now. Street stores, malls. Okay. May 3rd, 2003. We're all at home. Brian Laney shows up. He knocks on the door. There was a church baseball game, but Dave was replacing carpets and he needed the guys' help. So nobody got to go to the baseball game. Thank goodness they didn't go. They didn't need to see that. Phil was a very rich man and a show-off. And I guess there was quite a few people late for that church baseball game. He was one of the lead cars. Brian said that he was speeding and he blew through a stop sign into a semi. It was like a bomb went off. His grandson got thrown through the air, slammed onto the pavement, and Phil got ripped into pieces. On impact, they were both instantly dead. We were all at home. I was already wobbling around the house with the braces on because I was going up and down the steps. I didn't want to fall. And trying to learn balance back then. And at other times, I didn't even wear my braces. I would try to walk and I'd waddle like a child, and I would fall. My mom used to be so proud of me. She's like, Karen, you made it 5 steps, you made it 10. And all of a sudden, I'd lose balance and fall. I was so humiliated. I used to tell her, shut up. I know she was proud of me. But all I could see was humiliation if I couldn't walk. And I could do it. I know I could do it. I just gotta get that balance under control. And I could stand up. And I try again. And I fall on my ass or my face. And I pull up and I try again. My mom always said I was born stubborn. But try being 30 years old and trying to learn to walk again on numb feet. It's humiliating. Humiliating. May 3rd, 2003, I told you Brian came and told all of us we were all at home. Okay? Um, by July, I finally got well. It took me 9 months of getting off the meds and get out moving. I still lost balance even when we were out and I would fall in stores. But at least I could get myself back up by then. It took forever. Okay. Um, Now, did anything have to do with anything? Mm-mm. 2.5 years of surgery, or 2 years of surgeries, about 2 or 3 years of medical malpractice almost killed me. And it is wrote up as fraud. Everything but my muscles locking up. And they encouraged Dave and I to sue him for years. They'd represent us in court. They told the police and the FBI that went with me to the doctor's office for the protected custody case. First month. The only thing that was wrong with her was her muscles locked up. Those doctors were lying and ripping her off. They were defrauding her. And it was the medication making her sick. They told them. Okay. Okay, come November of 2003, it's 6 months after a traffic accident I had nothing to do with. My sister Linda was married to, or is married to, strangest kid Tim, I call later. She, a couple years ago, before that, in about 2001, she was out one day, found her husband out with another woman named Katie. And so every time he went to leave, she'd follow him. She had Lori follow him, my mom follow him. He was cheating. She didn't have enough courage to confront him. It's not her place. Nobody thought she had it in her to go out and work. So we acted stupid. We all knew they were cheating. Nobody said a word. Because if she's not going to say anything, it's not her place. It's her life. She knows. She's choosing to stay in that relationship. That's her own fault. Okay? November 2003. I was at church. She comes up to me. I was following him again. I got caught. I think they thought it was you. I'm sorry. Be careful. And runs off. I'm like, great. He's probably going to scream at me. Now, how am I going to explain this one? Either tell Aunt Linda that she was following her husband? What do? I found out the bastard blamed my death. He was so angry, thinking that I followed his kid committing adultery. By that Sunday morning, I had a really bad headache. I stayed home. Josh stayed home too. Danny came in after church. Now, he's 14 at the time. He's like, you're not my mother. I don't have to listen to you. It's like, whoa, you're grounded. Don't smart off to me. He's screaming all kinds of crazy crap and runs out. Josh walks in the room. What on earth is wrong with Danny? I said, I don't know. Let's go over to his girlfriend's house. We went over to Heather Mendez's house. Her mother, Joy Mendez, and her sister, Brazilia, was there. And they said, well, Danny's been thinking about killing himself. I'm like, kill himself? He's 14. He said that minister wants him to help destroy people in the church. He said he'd rather kill himself. That's my baby. Panicking, driving up and down streets. I see that minister's vehicle at that church. I pull it. I'm like, Josh, I want you to sit here. I want to go in and see if he's seen Danny. I don't want him to know Danny's acting out till I find out what on earth is going on. I step through the door. He pins me to the door by my face. Confess you were never sick. Hello? Did you hear what I lived through? Hello? All that shit? I would never do that. He said, you're a spoiled little brat nobody likes in this church. It's like, well, you never did like me. He said, you're Satan, and just the sight of you would hurt the church's children. Not that I would, but I'm that ugly. I am not that ugly. He said, you'll be lucky to see your kid again. And he shouts me out, and Josh was like, I got a big welt on my face. I'm like, take me up to Dad. He didn't always have these big jobs. He was working at Pizza Hut. I go in, I got a welt on my face. I'm like, he took Danny's yelling crazy crap. He said, let me clock out. I'll come home and get you. He said, we'll go over and find out what on earth is going on with Danny. So I go home. He don't come back. I call my mom. She said, I'll call over there. She told him, said, you better give Danny back. He said, we'll give him back when we're done. She said, you can't take people's kids. This is nuts. And they got in a big argument. She's like, I'm never going to your church again. All right, Dave comes home. I said, where's Danny? He said he'll give him back when he's done. He said, you're never allowed to go to church again, that you're Satan, and just the sight of you would hurt the church's children. Don't look at me, and screamed like a damn fool and ran out. Michelle kicking next door walks over. Karen, what on earth is going on? I told him, and we go over and sit on our front porch. Jerry, her husband, walks out and said, I ripped that door off that church and get my kid back. And my mom calls me and I walk off. Then Dave shows up and I said, where's Danny? He said he'd give Danny back when he's done and you're never allowed to go to church again. I said, why? He says you're sane. I wasn't the one being sane. I got Danny back that night after church. He was shaking like this, his whole body vibrating. I'm sorry, Mom. He lied. The next morning, I hear the car start. I look out, it's Danny. He's 14, taking the car. There used to be a big trees in the middle of Lenox. He's aiming for one. I'm running after him. And I'm screaming. And then all of a sudden, he goes sideways. Actually, this way. He went sideways. Not forward, not back. He went sideways. And I don't even see him. And the car starts coasting. And it barely missed everything. Coast to a stop. I get down there. He's passed out sideways. I get down there. I push him over. I get the car home. Josh helps me carry him in. I had to go to the bathroom. Went to grab something to drink. And I hear the dirt bike start up. I go out and see Danny. There used to be a telephone pole at the end of Lenox. And he's aiming for it. And they had dropped gravel around it. And I'm running after him screaming. He looks back at me. And he rocks. I took my kids and went to my sister's. We get down there. Josh is freaking out. I'm not staying here with these people. I got the keys. I'm leaving. You get in the car. I'm not staying here with these people. Okay? I reluctantly get in the car. I go home. Dave and I get in a big argument. Okay? Tell him I'm never allowed to serve God again. All this because Linda was following Tim and Katie. I ended up taking Danny to the crisis center. He told the crisis center in Stark County that Strange took him that day. Wouldn't let him leave. Starved him all day. Screamed at him on the pulpit till he passed out. And he screamed at him. He didn't remember half the day. Until this happened, I didn't even think about them drugging him. Okay? And that's why he tried to kill himself twice. I took him to the Child and Adolescent Center of Stark County. And he told Georgine Vovuso and another social worker, Linda, the same thing. Strange took him. Wouldn't let him leave. Screamed at him on the pulpit till he passed out. Starved him all day. And screamed at him till he did what he was told. And that's why he tried to kill himself twice. Okay? He told a Stark County psychiatrist for the Child and Adolescent Center the same thing. It's documented in Stark County. Strange pushed DNA to suicide. Okay? He was in counseling 3 times a week. Medication. Had to get a tutor to come tutor. I wasn't allowed to leave him alone for 6 months. Dave's insurance had lapsed. I had to go out and get a full-time job with insurance. Dave wouldn't help me do anything. I had to hire babysitters to sit with him so I could work. My wonderful, sweet neighbors and then my new coworkers took turns sitting with him. I said, I don't have a lot of money. I have to pay for all this. You got food in your house? I said, yeah. As long as we can eat while we're there, we're good. And the kindness of my neighbors and my new coworkers helped me take care of my son while he got well. Counseling, medication. He got down to 118 pounds. And they almost had to hospitalize him. He became bulimic. And we weren't allowed to leave him alone for 6 months. Okay? September 18th, 24. I'm up in Akron. My client up there. I had pulled in at 8:30 in the morning. Investigators over there. He said, you know, that agent needs to get his facts straight before he puts his name on anything. It was a medication error that made her sick before. Why'd they wait 15 years? I went over and talked to him. They said when Strange thought she was following Tim and Katie, he ordered her to be killed. Or destroyed and made sure she had nothing. Nobody was allowed to say or do a thing till Dave said he wanted a divorce. It took Dave 15 years to say it. And while the whole time they were planning everything, they planned this for 15 years, how they were going to do it. He needs to get it, that agent needs to get his facts straight. This was all over her. Strange, thinking she was following Tim and Katie. It goes back to 03. My community health for years encouraged Dave and I to sue those doctors. Danny was in counseling meds. Danny was the most important thing. Vengeance at that time didn't mean anything. The only thing meant anything to me was keeping my son alive and getting him healthy. That's the only thing. It's the only reason those doctors did not get sued. They would have went to jail for 20, 50 years for almost killing me. You do realize that. They need to thank God every day I didn't report them. That's why my community health told the police and the FBI it is documented fraud, medical malpractice, and medication errors that made her sick before. Okay? And in the meantime, I mean, we're still getting all these weird medical bills. Then to find out that it was one of Dave's girlfriends. March 27th, 25. I had stayed up and did a statement like this. There was an investigator outside. Okay? You could hear him talking to someone. Must have been on the phone. He said, I just broke up with Michelle. She confessed to me that the doctor from before was not one of hers. He works for them and they had lied. She actually don't know who he is. And when they bashed in her head, they tried to kill her or leave her incompetent. It didn't work. And as soon as she told me I broke up with her, yes, I'm good with it. And let's see. He said he had went to Dave where Dave was telling everybody he was forced to marry me. Nobody at that church forced him. And I finally got it out of him that a girlfriend from before her made him marry her so he could get a job at her dad's factory. So she'd have free insurance to use. He could give her extra money. I even went to that family that was telling people it offended them that minister called her a faker 6 months earlier. 6 months later than a traffic accident she had nothing to do with. Saying, why on earth would you say it offended you? She wasn't even there. She had nothing to do with that traffic accident. And it's 6 months later. They said they just lied. So people would help out. It didn't even concern them. She had nothing to do with it. Her father killed her kid. They were just lying so people would help out. I had chest pains. See, when we first got married, within the first year, my dad gave Dave a job as vice president of Midwest Harbor. Right away, there was rumors of him cheating with a heavyset white brown woman. I told my brother to get me proof. Well, back in 1985, it's 86. We didn't have cell phones. The phone was attached to the wall with a long cord. Hot Rubber Factory couldn't just carry a camera around. He never got me proof. And then all of a sudden we start getting medical bills that aren't mine. I tell him it's fraud, right? And we try fighting them. Back then you didn't show ID. You went in, you filled out your personal information. You forgot your medical card, they'll call it in later. They took you for who you are. That's how people used to have surgeries on other people's insurance. Identity fraud. Okay? And then there's times we didn't even know till they attached his wages that she had went to another hospital, another doctor, had procedures. And we would get stuck with the co-pays. She went carry on that insurance. And Dave's like, some other woman stole your ID and your identity, Karen, running up these bills. Well, Kay McMillan, the factory secretary, my brother Pete, was there. Kay told him, there's no way that lady got Karen's information in the factories unless you give it to her, Dave. And there's rumors of you cheating on Karen. You either pay those co-pays or have you arrested for identity fraud. He came home and said, Karen, I never cheat on you. Yes, he did. He said, it's some crazy woman using your insurance doing identity fraud and they're threatening to put me in jail. We don't pay it. Making up this big excuse because he's so afraid that he's going to get caught in jail. Half my medical records are hers. I even argued with them in hospital. They called me once. I'd like to talk about your stay here. I said, I haven't stayed in your hospital in years. They said, you see Dr. So-and-so, never heard of him. We sat and talked. I said, ma'am, I've never met you. Some other lady's using my insurance and stole my ID. Instead of trying to get any kind of surveillance on her, find out who it is. She said, well, you said you had 2 little girls. I said, I have 3 boys. I told you some other woman's using my insurance. Well, your information says yes. Click. Do you know how many times that happened? Well, they used your ID and your information. You're responsible for that copay. We got stuck with tens and tens of thousands of dollars worth of bills. Officer Mark documented another woman was using my insurance, and it is medical fraud and medical malpractice and medication errors that made me sick before. He also documented and verified it was a drug cartel in my home before. That's where the Louisville police, May 30th, 25, they found the original case. They were outside. Said my ex-husband hired 2 men on his own. One said he was an attorney, so it made it legal. No, it didn't. It made it worse illegal. Of course it did. Do you know I heard some idiot today, some brainless boob, say, well, Dave gave him permission to do it to her. He's not my pimp. Like investigators said that a cult thought she was a woman because she's a woman. She had no rights. They could drug her up and tell her to say stuff, Photoshop and frame her, have her harmed and killed in front of everyone because she had no rights because she was a woman. That's what they thought. He's not my pimp. I've talked to attorneys, I've talked to the prosecutors, I've talked to the police. No one could be in my home. It's right to privacy. That guy's not my doctor. April 16, 23. Across the parking lot where they were framing Danny and Jen for being part of the shower scene in the other room. I went to them, and several times before that, and they didn't know anything, okay? They walk across the parking lot. Said I could hear him talk to Gabe. I finally went to Dad, asked him what on earth is going on. Said he hired some guy named Pete on his own. I was Pete and his men in our home before. Pete has a frame, Pete has her tape, the filthy, dirty statement. I'd never met him. Never. Just some guy. They didn't say a doctor. Some guy he hired on his own did it. He said he's a drug dealer. Not a doctor. He even confessed it wasn't a doctor, and it wasn't one of my doctors. It's some guy he hired. Where I would take a drink out of a drink. The room would go dizzy and black. Or wake up with injection marks. Orange, lemon, grapefruit sized bruises. Documented by my community health. Throwing up. Massive loss of weight. Migraine, headache. Severe swollen personal infection. I'm blaming the dirty well water I'm showering and thinking it's giving me cancer. And here it's rapist. Playing with me. Breaking in, stabbing me with drugs, lacing drinks. Drugging me up, telling me to say stuff. Photoshopping in their stocking tapes. Washing in the shower in the other room. Then impersonating a dirty doctor. Breaking every HIPAA law there is. And then photoshopping and washing, and thought the FBI would hand them money. So, Agent John, why does the fentanyl king from Texas, what does he have against you? Seriously, they even announced over the years they were setting you up to go to jail for this. They have called you a coward. They sold videos of them calling you a coward. They called you a public fool, how they fooled you with their stunner tapes before June 7th, 23. The other one was August 5th, 25. Why do they think they can publicly mock you? They're not afraid of you at all. Why is that? They ought to be afraid of you as they are of Trump, because these people are scared to death of him. Because these people told people they paid you off and everything else. Several times. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. But I did see some new people. And if you actually pull Karen around the house, Karen's FBI informant, Stark County Courthouse, September 23rd, October 5th of 18. A threat and attempted life case for an FBI informant, witness protection program. On a recorded line, the agent will admit that everybody already knew he already had the church people in his office and that family, and they were scamming him about I offended him, and how they were trying to kill me. They did confess to a federal agent. They were trying to murder me. He announced it, making fun of me on a recorded line, that they already knew. He knew of this guy, Pete, how he's framing me, laughing at me, how I didn't know, some dirty doctor. I still don't ever know who he is. It's just people Dave hired on his own to run this big con. He mocks me, bullies me, then lists me for it with money immunity, then threatens me. And we all know where the prosecutor's office, police, criminal attorney I talked to, Grant's friend, that's an FBI agent out of state. He doesn't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. He's only a higher police officer. It is actually a federal crime for an agent to try to silence a victim or an informant. It is tampering with a witness and obstruction to justice, and it is a 20-year sentence for that. And for him telling on me to Apostolic Church of Barberton before he talked to me, I called the hotline. And when I called the hotline, I cried my eyes out. The next day I heard the phone ringing. And I let it go to voicemail. When I woke up later, I was so jerked up, I had to hold on the wall to get to the bathroom, to the refrigerator. I kept thinking, what's wrong with me again? Listen to the voicemail, this is Agent, call me back, I fell back to sleep, I can't. Second day, not much better. Third day, made myself get up, I'm sitting on the front porch, what on earth is wrong with me? Trying to get enough air, finally got enough air in my face, clear my head. I got a hold of one of my witnesses that knew of Katie leaving threats on the wall that it was her church trying to have me killed, with 3 people of witnessing. I called one of the witnesses. She'd witnessed for me, went out and bought a card, put that agent's number in it from the voicemail, made an excuse to drop it off at the mall, went up to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Paymer got into Dave's face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. I walk off, women come up. He knows she's being drug, beaten, raped, and he said he didn't care. I'm covered in bruises, lost 18 pounds, severely infected. Go in and sit down. They follow me. He knows she's being drugged, being raped, and he said he didn't care. If she was going to be faking, she was sick. Well, that family was screaming. He didn't care what they did to her. And if she was going to be mean to their women, wasn't mean to anybody. I didn't have contact with those people. He was going to turn her back over to him. Can you imagine an agent saying that? Dave comes in. Let's go. Down in the car, he threatens to kill me himself. He went for a gun. I put my hand on the console and beat me on the way home. The next day, Rivers of Tears, I call that agent back. I tell him someone told on me. He calls me a liar. I tell him about the guy that threatened to knife me, a giant. He calls me a liar. He starts screaming about a camera above the bench. When I heard that guy's voice, I don't know. Dear God, he came up behind me and threatened to knife me. I almost passed out. I'm a little old lady that was all drugged up, beaten, raped out to be ashamed. I caught my breath and I turned my car and I got in a line at a bank. Got in front of someone. And he's screaming about a camera above the bench. I don't know. You say you're lying or I'll arrest you. It wasn't my place to find that camera. It was his. I said, well, he tried to kidnap me before. He's like, and he said, oh, come on out. Even if a church person seen him, they'd never verify it. That's why I didn't tell him about Terry Coverly. And she did verify it. And he said, I've met with that family in my office, the one her father murdered her kid, the one that's conning you, and with all the church people that were conning you. And I know they're trying to kill you. And he says, strangest liar, call me a faker. I said, I really was sick before. He's like, you liar. He said, you need to realize what you've done, and I don't blame him for trying to kill you. Yeah. Oh, that's the second time he says that. But he said, I know, but they're trying to kill you because of that. He said, now, was there a camera above the bench or not? I don't know. You say you're lying or I'll arrest you. And you start screaming, I'll come up and put you in jail. It's like, fine, whatever. He's like, now I want you to say you were faking you were sick before. Hello? You heard what I lived through. I said I really was sick before. Now I've had that family in my office and all those church people. The ones that are conning you. And I know they're trying to kill you. And he says, strangers lying. You need to realize what you've done. And I don't blame him for trying to kill you. He actually says that. He's aiding and abetting murder. I said I really was sick before. You liar. You need to realize what you've done. I said I really was sick before. He's like, you better say you're faking or I'll leave you there. I said, they'll kill me so. They've tried to kill me so. Say it or I'll leave you there. I start pleading for my life. Say it or I'll leave you there. It's like, fine, just don't let them kill me. He's like, give me a real reason the FBI should help you. I said, well, they've tried to kill me so. They're going to kill me so. Give me a real reason. Another agent yells out, well, we could always use Pete's tape or word with yourself. I don't even know who he is today. This Photoshop to washing as a bitch move. I said, what are you talking about? I don't even know who you're talking about. Still don't. I said, what are you talking about? Stop, she don't know. I said, something else. I said, what are you talking about? Stop, she don't know. I bet you're going to say you don't know anything about this doctor. And I thought, well, maybe it's that other lady that used my insurance doctor. No, it's just a con. Whole thing's a con. I said, I've never even heard of him. He's laughing. He said she doesn't know. And I said, what are you talking about? He's like, give me a real reason. My brother-in-law, Craig Davis, died working under Dick Cheney at the Pentagon. March 26th, 27th of around 1990. He got killed. And he traveled the whole world undercover. And I tell him about it. He said, have you talked to any law enforcement about threats in your life? I said, the only 2 officers I've ever talked to. August 8th of 18. I had a light in the security system. I called 911. They came out. They were silly. They said it looked like an alien orb, angry spirit. Told me to buy a dog and let a dog handle it. They didn't want me bothered. You're kidding. I said, no, I've never even had my neighbors in my home. I've had family and repair guys, and only those 2 officers. Is that what's going on? He said, do you know if Dave's cheating? I said, I think he is. I've never caught him. Dave verified December 9th, 18. I never caught him with anyone. He's laughing. She said she never caught him. He said, I'll tell you what, I can take you somewhere and leave you with no money. I don't have money to start. He said, well, if you agree to get information on David and Churches, I can open an informant case. I said, I can do that. I thought I could hang around a little bit longer and nobody else would get hurt. I can handle this. He said, I opened an account with $5,000 a month. He said, you'll have a life of peace as an informant. Nothing legally stated dated against you for working this case. And only for you would we ever do this for. We'll always put it back as if it never happened. And you can't be legally charged for anything again. Admit to no wrongdoing. And I'll take care of everything in the end. You have that money to live on. He said, but if you try to tell somebody, I'll tell people you're crazy and nobody will help you, or the FBI won't help you. If an FBI agent tries to tell any law enforcement they can't help you, they are to be arrested for 20 years for obstruction. Abuse of power. Google. He can't list me crazy. He was only bullying me, like Walter said. And then he said, if you need help, the chief of police of Canton's my best friend. He's a really good man and you can trust him. He said, and he'll make sure the Canton police always protect you. I told Walter, he used to work at the Stark County prosecutor's office, laughed, I had tears, chuckled. He said, first of all, the police know they can't go along with anything but him listing your informant with money and immunity. You get the money and immunity for risking your life to get them information. That agent does not have enough authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. He's only a higher police officer due to the freedom of speech. It takes a judge in a jury trial. I said, well, he's already confessed. He told me he's scene telling. He said he can't tell you, but you can tell whoever you want, and he can't say a word. It is illegal for him to even try to silence you. It's a federal crime, actually. Punishable by 20 years. He said, Karen, you don't realize you're in one of the many witness protection programs. Informants are different. You stay yourself, you feed them information. You get it for risking your life to get them information. And there's guidelines. And he can't make up his own rules. And the police know they can't go along with it. No judge could sign it. It's illegal. It was only bullying you, so they get away with this. He can't withhold your money, can't misdirect it. And you're not only an informant case, but a threat and attempt to like case. He said, these people try to kill you. They could wait and try to kill you again. He said you could never get out of protective custody. The only thing the FBI can do is put you in another witness protection program, and they have to talk to you first. And he cannot withhold your money. He can't misdirect it either. It's illegal. He can't bully you into false statements either. The police know that. I talked to a criminal attorney, said the same thing. Police out of this area. And Grant's friend, that's an FBI agent, went on Google. He can't do any of this. December 2nd, 22, I know they said he stole my money the first day. January to March of 19 in the mall, they called him a paid-off dirty agent. It's right on Google. If an FBI agent tries to silence a victim or informant, They are to be arrested for 20 to 30 years, federal prison, for obstruction to justice and tampering with a witness. If they tell people they can't help them, same thing. If they tell on a victim for calling for help, same thing. You can't do any of this. He opened a real case with statements. In the way he opened it, because it is a threat and attempted lie case for an FBI informant, with statements and a court order from a judge for the police to bug my phone, my car, my home, and surveillance around me and document, verify everything every day. They got all those drug cartel dealers. George Peters out of Florida, Michigan, Buffalo, New York, California, the Kingsmen from Texas were here, and more. I was left in the middle of the cartels, being horribly abused while they got surveillance. I would like my money, a letter of thank you for helping out with the case, a medical card, a new name and social for me and my husband.